going to talk about equivalence between fractions, decimals and percentages, because this is where the statement same value, different appearance comes from. Now, at the end of the video, I'm going to point to this, because these are facts that you have to know. But firstly, I'm going to talk about what I mean by that. So let's look at this decimal. This says 0.34, 0.34. Well, if I look at that with beans, that looks like this, doesn't it? All right. Now, what is that? Well, as a fraction, that's like me saying 34 out of the total of 100. Well, and as you learned in the last video, that's like saying 34%. Because you've got 34 of the total of 100 as a fraction and as a decimal. Okay, look at our next one. Well, this is 62 as a decimal, so that will be 62 out of 100 as a fraction, which as a decimal, 62%. Now, if you look at this one, 0.4, this isn't 4 hundredths, because it's 4 in the tenths column. So remember, if I put that 0 there, it means 40 hundredths or 40%. Now that's an easy way. Quite often though, fractions aren't of 100, and so it can get a little bit more difficult. So we're going to come back to these ones here at the end. Let's look at our percentages first. Well, this says 20%. Well, do you remember in our last video we said this is 20% because it's 20 out of 100. So this is going to equal 20 out of 100, which equals 0.20, or much better to say 0.2. And if I look at our next one here, this means 25 out of 100, so here we go. This is 25. So here we've got 25 out of 100, which equals 0.25. Now what we're going to do is look at something that makes percentages a bit harder, or makes equivalence a bit harder, because when our fractions are not written as hundredths, what we first have to do is change them into fractions where the denominator is 100. And remember what we did? Whatever we do to the bottom, we do to the top to make it the same. So here, if I times the bottom by 10 and the top by 10, same, whatever I do to the bottom I must do to the top, I'm going to make that 20 100ths. So what I can now see is that that is the same as 20%, which is the same as 0.2. So by making fractions have 100 at the bottom, I can see what they're going to be as decimals and as percentages. So this one here is a half. What do I need to do to the bottom and the top to make this have 100? Well, I'm going to have to times by 50. If I do that to the top too, what I'm going to get is 50 100ths. Now, it's much easier for me to understand that that is equivalent to 50%, which is equivalent to 0.5. So what you've learned is that we can find the equivalence, same value, different appearance, of fractions, of decimals, and of percentages. And the key thing is that we have to make them have 100 on the bottom as fractions, as percentages because they're out of 100, and then we can look at them. There are some equivalences that it's very, very good for you just to know. Not work out, but know. And so these are things you have to learn. And I've put them along here. You need to try and learn these ones, and if you can, these ones. It says, for example, that a quarter is equal to 0.25. which is equal to 25%. You should just know those.